Well, as we continue to examine the security failures that allowed a shooter to strike President Trump and kill an attendee at a Pennsylvania campaign rally, members of the House Homeland Security Committee traveled to the site of the assassination attempt earlier today, just as the House Oversight and Accountability Committee grilled U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. As more details emerge, what immediate changes are necessary for the U.S. Secret Service, and what did the American people learn today based on this hearing? Joining me now to discuss this is Tim Miller, founder and president of Lionheart International Services Group. He is a 30-year law enforcement and military professional who was a Secret Service agent assigned to the Washington field office, coordinating all aspects of security for the president, vice president, and foreign heads of states on a regular basis. Tim, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Thank you for having me, Tony. It's an honor to be with you.
So we spoke last week as we, were in the wake of the assassination attempt, and I said I wanted to get you back on after the hearing. There's going to be a series of hearings this week, but based on this one today in the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, what did the American people learn?
Tony, I got to tell you, I don't think they learned anything new. Everything that was said, if it was said at all, was based on, stuff already out there. I think there's been more analysis with all of the forensic evidence, the cell phone cameras, all that being, shared instantly on social media. And so the American people have a pretty good idea of generally what happened. Today, we were hoping and praying that the Secret Service director, who has said, look, buck stops with me, I'm responsible, that she would provide details on exactly what happened. Unfortunately, in my opinion, all we heard was, well, the FBI's got that, or I can't talk about that. And here's the problem. We need to restore the faith of the American people in the United States Secret Service. We don't want people going to rallies fearful, wondering if the security is in place or, so that they won't lose their lives or the lives of their families, as we saw last week.
Now, Tim, there were some facts that were shared in this hearing as based on the questions that were asked regarding some of the stats with the Secret Service, the number of agents, how many details they are working. I mean, some of that shows that the ranks are getting kind of thin.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tony, because I got to tell you, it was a shock to me when she said, Director Cheadle said, that they have roughly 8,000, slots filled for 9,500 positions. That's huge. 1,500 agents in a campaign year. That means that not everybody has to come home, repack, go back out if they get home at all. They're tired, they're working shift work. It's a big deal to staff the Secret Service the way it needs to be staffed. And quite frankly, without that, what you have is a bunch of tired folks that are coming off planes, getting into follow-ups, showing up. You can go into a zombie mode very quickly. Right. Ask me how I know, when that happens. And then when she said that the Secret Service since January has done more than 7,500 site advances, that's heavy lifting. Doing site surveys is not easy. You got to be game on. So this is very troubling for, what we used to revere is probably the most, premier law enforcement agency in the country.
Well, Tim, having been a police officer on the street, not doing protection details, but I would think the protection details, you've got to be even more alert, especially when you're talking about the President of the United States. And after working, 12 hours, multiple days a week, you get a little tired. You kind of miss some things. I mean, that's just human nature. So there's some underlying problems here at the agency. I mean, you've been there, you've seen it. What do you think is driving this?
Well, Tony, you and I know as Marines, leadership starts at the top. Leadership is something that when the leaders, the commanding officers and the layers below them have an outstanding commitment to the mission. There are no side agendas. It's all about being lean, mean, and ready to go. And, we've kind of lost sight of that in the Secret Service. And that may work in corporate America to have certain classes of people there. The problem is you don't want just anybody around the president or the protectees of the United States Secret Service. You want the strongest, fastest, smartest. And let me say this is not a female bash, because I've worked with females as a police officer, as a Marine, and as a Secret Service agent that were more than capable. But this idea of, well, we can only have 1/3 of this or that, that's preposterous. You want the leaders of the free world protected by the best people available, because if not, think about what would have happened last week had President Trump been assassinated. We wouldn't have fair and free elections. We would have a very tainted, very violent population. It would have been a mess.
Right. It goes way beyond one individual. I mean, this is what he represents and what it would have done to the country. I mean, Tim, is this the proverbial chickens coming home to roost, where we've been pursuing this woke ideology in our government, the DEI, that now we're seeing that this really doesn't work well?
I absolutely think it doesn't work well, and I think we're seeing this across law enforcement agencies. Most police agencies, as you know, Tony, haven't been an officer. They can't hire enough qualified people because between DEI and defund, police are discouraged. They're not sure if they can take action anymore. There are cameras everywhere. And let me tell you, I'm all about accountability. I'm all about transparency. But this is crazy. We need warriors ready to fight some of those people coming across the border.
And oftentimes the administrations do not back up those officers on the street, and so there's concern there as well. And I think that's probably a part of the attrition rate, why we're not seeing those ranks filled, people looking for positions that actually offer more of a future in terms of having support behind you and not risking your life, your family, and your well-being. Tim Miller, always great to see you. Thanks so much for sharing your insights on today's hearing.
It's an honor, Tony. Take care. We'll see you next time.